All right, we have the first trade of the NFL draft. It was the New Orleans Saints. They're always aggressive, Sam, but they're moving up with the Washington Commanders. They come up to get Chris Olave at number 11 overall. The Saints give up their pick 16 in round 1, but also third rounder, number 98, fourth rounder, pick 120. You know we're always fans of the trade down. So if you're the Commanders and you just traded down 5 spots and you pick up an extra 3 and an extra 4, great job. Great move by Washington to start.
Commanders and the Vikings, picks 11 and 12, I think both did a good job getting out of those picks that didn't really fall the way, it wasn't an optimal draft board for them, right? Picks were made that kind of took guys off the board that they might have liked. Ideal scenario, get the hell out of that pick, trade back and pick later on and try and get a player that fits that spot. So both those teams, I think, did a great job. For the Saints, remember what the speculation was, they made that first trade. Are they packaging it to go up again, or are they just going to pick 2 areas of need? They've kind of split the difference, right? They're picking Chris Olave, who was a guy that was given to them with one of those picks when we were doing all those mock drafts. Who were the Saints picking with their 2 first rounders? If they're staying there, they're picking a wide receiver, often Chris Olave, and they're picking a tackle, whoever that's going to be. Somehow they've managed to trade up and get Chris Olave, and they've kept the other first round picks, so they may end up getting exactly what we thought, but also trading up at the same time.
Now, how do you feel the Saints? Why is this move made for the Saints? Is it because there was the run on receivers? We saw Drake London go 8. We saw Garrett Wilson go 10th. They come up to get Chris Olave. And then Jameson Williams ends up going after Olave. So there's this run on receivers. Do you think the Saints just said, that's our wide receiver 1, we got to go get him?
Maybe.
Or are they a little afraid of the run? Clearly, that though, with Michael Thomas back, or if he's on the trading block, whatever's happening, they needed a receiver regardless.
Yeah, they jumped up 5 spots. I think there's probably a good chance that the Saints really like Chris Olave, and that's why they were willing to not only make the move initially to trade into this year's first round, but also to go up and aggressively get Chris Olave when, a lot of mock drafts had him falling to the Saints pick anyway. They didn't want to run that risk. And with the way receivers were coming off the board, maybe they were smart to do that. Olave's got some really fun numbers. Like when you watch his tape, gliding is the word that comes to everybody's minds, right? He's just such a smooth athlete, the way he moves around the field. Both.
Hold on, I wrote smooth as the first note. It's
my
first note.
Exactly. So that's the word. Both when it comes to in his routes and also with the ball in his hands, the same thing, the way he moves. But he's got some fun numbers. For his entire college career, passes thrown his way have generated an NFL passer rating of 133. Wow. That's crazy. And every single year, it was above 120, right? So throwing the ball in the general direction of Chris Olave is often a very good thing. And he's not the best contested catch guy in the world. He gets that because he's going to get wide the hell open. He's a great right runner. He's good after the catch. He will give you a good place to go with the ball. The Saints have Jameis Winston. They had not much in the way of wide receiver help. So look, they don't have that skill set. Bringing him in, I think, is a great move.
Yeah, accumulating receivers, always a smart plan. You have Marquez Callaway there, who showed flashes last year. Remember, I bought the hype coming out of the preseason last year that he could be that number 1 wide receiver, but he's a 2. He's a 3. Is there a lot of redundancy to Chris Olave and Michael Thomas? Does this mean there's some replacement there?
I think they're massively complementary, don't you?
The only thing I'll say about Olave, I think he's that Z receiver that you can move around a lot like they move Michael Thomas. You're going to move him to the slot. You're going to move him outside. Not that that's a bad thing. Like, yeah, sure, they can coexist, especially with Callaway as maybe the big-bodied outside receiver. It'll make it work, but I'm still wondering what the Saints think that they have in Michael Thomas. They are cap-strapped. Say what you want. I mean, they are cap-strapped. They haven't made certain moves this year because of the cap. They've admitted that. Right. So I just want to know, does this mean they're just stocking up on receivers or setting up to trade Michael Thomas and fill other needs through that?
I mean, the one place where they don't necessarily conflict is that Olave, as much as he's being sort of talked about as a Z, a slot guy at the next level, he hasn't really played in the slot that much, right? 15% of his college snaps came in the slot, which means 85% of his college snaps were spent outside, right? Now, look, I agree with you. He's not like an right wide receiver, a guy that's going to defeat press coverage, et cetera, and they don't necessarily have that guy. But I wonder if they take the approach of, look, we get an elite Z-type receiver in Chris Olave. We keep Michael Thomas in the slot where the guy is unstoppable. does it even matter who the X is, right? Can we just stick anybody out there? Callaway, you might not be an elite number one wide receiver, but you can just stand out there and get in somebody's way. You know what I mean?
Well, they have 2 former Ohio State receivers that can get open. Olave gets open, Michael Thomas gets open. And the only thing I like to describe about Olave, he's got a feel for those types of routes. He knows when to sit. He knows when, he knows how to play leverage and all of that stuff. So I like him a lot as a receiver. We had him both as our number 2 receiver. Yeah. And then we had Jameson Williams number 3 with the injury. So overall, I like the player, but the Saints, with all of the movement that they made, the trade with the Eagles, now the trade with Washington, it is a lot of investment in that one player, and it's how the Saints like to operate.
Yeah, but look, when you kind of break it all down, right, they can probably move around a little bit more, but ultimately they've decided we're going to get out of next year. We're going to parlay that into a pick this year. We're going to throw a few more to make sure we get our guy, and we're going to come out of the first round with Chris Olave, number 1, right? Then we'll figure out what they do with their next pick. But they've essentially decided we have these 2 big holes that need to be filled, and we're going to get one. And this is the way the Saints operate, right? They don't really care. The future is like, next year is next year's Saints problem, right? That's next year Mickey's problem. I don't care right now. Right? This year's Mickey is happy. He's got Chris Olave, and he's going celebrating.
We'll figure that out.
Next year's Mickey can deal with the consequences.
Well, for right now, this year's Mickey is very happy. He's got Chris Olave in the receiving core coming into focus now for the Saints.